What's happening, people? So we're back on today. The lesson which I learned in my 20s and the things I'm doing in my 30s. I wanted to make this video because I think there are a lot of things which go on in your head when you're in your younger days. I was no different from nobody else. I was out there doing badness, keeping up with stuff, getting into situations which I definitely shouldn't have been in, but I'm old enough and wise enough to talk about them now today in my 30s. So even being a plumber and qualified by the time I was in my 20s, I was not really interested in it as a trade, as something to go on for me. Yeah, I just took it as something which I know now, which I can do, and if I have a job, I can always earn a bit of money. That's how I looked at it. I didn't look at it and said, this is a job for life. Oh my God, I can start a business. Oh my God, in 10 years' time, I'm going to be wearing my own T-shirt, which is going to say Mr. London Plumber. No, I didn't think none of that at all. That wasn't my goal at the time. So I don't feel that it's going to be anybody's realistically. You might say it like, yeah, I want a company and stuff like that. But when you get into the crux and the mix of it, while still being in your 20s, yeah, you think, nah, I'd rather be out there with gal. Yeah, with gal. That's the truth. And sometimes, like, your friends going out, you going to parties, splashing the cash, that is something which me personally, I probably had to get it out of myself. I've done a lot of that. I've done that like on a religious basis. It's not something that I'm super proud of now today when I think about money management and stuff like that, but I can say that I've done it. And saying that I've done it doesn't mean that I need to do it again. It's now I have more things to think about when it comes to what I would like to spend my money on. Now I'm in my 30s. But getting back to the 20s, yeah, even when you're getting it when you're in your 20s, like, you're making money, because sometimes some people will make more money in their 20s than they will ever do in their whole entire life. And I say that because when you're in your 20s, yeah, there is nothing that you fear. What do you fear? You're in your prime, Optimus Prime. You probably feel that you're the strongest that you'll ever be as a man, but you're probably not. But in your head, yeah, you're feeling like you can go 10 rounds with Mike Tyson at any point and you could beat him up like one of the Paul brothers did. Do you get it? Like, you could do a lot, but the truth is you don't know a lot yet. And, like, as much as I might sit here and I've read books, I've took in knowledge, I've understood about other people's lives. When I was in my 20s, I didn't really know none of that. And neither was I interested in it. I was more self-centered and interested in myself. Things what was going on for me, that was important, right? And that's how I feel that a lot of people are going to look at life, because, again, experiencing certain things when you are in your 20s, having a full-time girlfriend, driving, getting new cars, going on holiday, all of these things are things which people want to do then. They want to do it now, yeah? When you get older, maybe you've got more of a understanding about, I might pause and I might wait 4 months, 3 months till I go on holiday so I can enjoy it. When you're younger, there's no need to do all that stuff. Everything is now. I want to do it now. And there's no problem with that, because you're living fast when you're young. That's the truth. When I was younger, I was just doing nothing but living fast. And living fast felt good because I could have what I want, do what I want, and say what I want. There was no repercussions in nothing. Do you get it? Like, who am I answering to at this point? Nobody. Everyone's a big person. You feel like you're a big person because you're doing certain things. Driving, you've got a girlfriend, you're going on holiday, you're flying out, you're doing this, you're eating at Nobu, you're doing that. And it's dope. Don't get me wrong. The experience, what I got to experience in my 20s was nothing but dopeness. I was hanging around with the top people. That's it, period. We was doing everything. I've got I've got friends who are my very close friends who are professional football players. I saw a lot in my 20s. A lot. We was outside as well. So you can count that behavior as well. I saw a lot there as well. So having this idea of what's going to go on in my 30s, it didn't cross my mind. Not once did I start to think, what am I going to be doing when I'm a little bit older? It's only when my birthday started to hit, I started to say to myself, what am I going to do? Like, that's fading out, all the raving, going out, gal. It's fading out. You want to get one girl, because when you got to pay for all of them on dates, it's a lot. Hair, extensions, it's a lot. Date night, a lot. Keep it with one chikorita. Do you understand? As I got through all of those types of phases, like I said to you, things start to phase out, innit? Like, you're not outside with your friends as much as you was. Some of your friends might have kids. They're not going to clubs all the time. You're not doing the things what you was doing when you was in your early teens. You're doing some things like you might start going bowling. Yeah, bowling. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't knock it. I'm quite good at bowling. If anybody does want to come to a bowling challenge, which I'm gonna have soon, which is gonna be a meet and greet, you lot are welcome. You lot are welcome. Trust me. But back to my story. So once people have started to separate and go their separate ways in life, yeah, which people do, I think getting into relationships, moving in with someone and stuff like that, that all breaks away from you being in like your 20s, like hanging with the boys and just doing stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like I can't remember the last night when I was up to like 4 or 5 o'clock, but I have had loads of nights like that. Some nights when in my 20s, I was coming in at like 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, I was knackered, still going to work though. But I'll go work, and when I get home, I mean, I'm finished. I'm sleeping all the way until the next day. Deep sleep, deep, terrible sleep. I couldn't do that now because I'll be so messed up with my time and all that. Do you know what I mean? It's just not worth it for me right now. Maybe I'm getting a bit too old for that type of thing. And when I started to ask myself, I'm telling you, when it started to come, like the red flag started to pop up. It started to pop up when it was like my birthday, and I was getting to like 28, like them times, because you're approaching 30, you're approaching that big man status, and you ask yourself what you're gonna do, you know, and only you can answer that question within yourself. Like, what do I want to do with my life later? If I'm going to work, I'm going to make sure that I'm working for myself. That was one thing I started to say to myself. I'm going to work for myself. I'm going to have my own company. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to use the skills which I've got in my 20s, which I'm lucky that I picked up some skills in my 20s. Like, had the time to be a plumber, had the time to learn, had the time to understand what it takes to start a business, understand that I can do it for myself, put myself on, and really just promote myself for my better years. So I knew that, like, when I'm in my early 30s, that's my optimum prime. So them times there, I want to start promoting myself and start making a name for myself, because I knew all of this takes time, innit? And even like when I said to myself I wanted to have a business, yeah, and a lot of people do that in their coming into their 30s, say they want to open their own business and stuff like that. When you look at how many businesses fail within the first year, 90% of businesses fail within the first year. They don't even make it out the bat. There is no little Christmas cake what's coming around next Christmas, because it's done. No Christmas parties, hackathons, drop it out. No one ain't going nowhere for drinks this year. It's done. It's over. We'll send you an email. I wasn't trying to be like that. I realized that I had to do something which I was starting off really small. So me starting off really small was me only employing myself and only getting my mates to jump on jobs when I needed them to attend the jobs. Do you get it? Because I had to understand how much this idea of me having a company when I'm in my 30s is going to make me. If it's not making money, it don't make sense. We already seen in our 20s that people that weren't making money, they weren't outside. So to you, it weren't making sense why you was friends with them or not. It weren't beneficial for you. For me, I'm talking in my life. I was just trying to say for both of us, but I don't know if you lot been living that life. I don't know. You tell me. But what I do want to say is just that when you start adding everything up and thinking about what it cost, and when it's coming out of your own pocket, instead of doing some of the other things what other people are doing, like saving for a house or having kids at the present time, it's a choice, which I feel that like some people make that decision, and that decision obviously mans them up or womans them up. You get on the wordplay, everybody gets involved. Man's up, woman's up. You understand? Everybody's up. So if you mansed up your situation and you had a child, you now have to step up into that responsible position of being a stand-up person, because that's what I would have been if I was in that position, right? I'm only a stand-up. That's what I do. You want to make sure that you have enough security, whether that be financially, whether that be just you being stable in a mental place. You want to make sure everything was right. And that's what I've always strived for, to make sure everything was right. It's only when I got to certain ages, like 32, I realized that, or some people have had conversation with me and they said, look, when I first went into this situation of having a child or whatever, I wasn't even sure how I was going to get this or that. I'm like, how did you just still continue though? Like, to me, that's, looking at it from the outside, I'm like, bro, that's a bit crazy, man. Like, I'm sure you must have quite a lot of sleepless nights, because I worry about stuff like that when I haven't got other people dependent on me. When it's just maybe just work, when I've got to be like, look, I've got to weigh my mate out £2, got to weigh my other mate out £3. I've only got this, I've only got 6. Like, I don't know, see what I can do. Do you get it? I like to just pay people out. And I like to make sure that my situation is secure, because leading someone into an unsecure situation as a young man, that is not something what I would do in my early 20s. And it's not something I would do in my later years now. At the end of the day, being stable in this environment is like it's a plus, isn't it? It's going to be attracted to a lot of females, which is you are being stable, or you are able to take care of the household if need be. Because, you know, some people believe in 50-50. That's fine as well. I don't have a problem with that. But it's about even just spending enough time. So when I say spending enough time, I spent a lot of time in my 20s with the man them, on road, going out, partying, all this type of stuff, which was cool for the experience. And some of the other things which I saw, because I went to a lot of football games. I told you, one of my very good close friends is a professional football player, you know, and I got to see a lot of different places, different things. I go to events, parties where people weren't going to, stuff like that. It's just different. Do you know what I mean? It's nice to be around a different set of people. It doesn't matter because they have money, because I was always, from a young age, around people that have money. So that's not going to faze me. What's going to faze me is the type of people they are, because it's like, am I going to be long-term friends with them, or is this going to be a short-term endeavor? Do you get it? And if it is what it is, I try to establish the relationship from early. And if it's a good one, a healthy one, I keep it up with people. I'm not a person that like is like in and out. I've had one of my friends from school. He's been one of my best friends for, what is it, about 23 years now. And again, we've had one argument, and it was over something minor. And what I loved about him and loved about the situation was, it was my birthday at the time again. We kind of fell out before my birthday. He still came to my house and he was like, do you know what? What? He's like, you could be upset with me, but I'm still coming to your house, you know, because it's your birthday. And that made me smile inside, because that's my true friend, you know, at the end of the day. And I know if you argue, you must get over things, because it's not that deep. It was never nothing what was going to be any substance anyway. It was just like, I felt that sometimes he wasn't having enough time for me. That's all it was. It wasn't nothing really deeper than that at the end of the day. But I know that we've all got life to live and things to do. And he's a busy person just like myself, innit? But I always make an effort to make time for him, which I always appreciate for him to do for me, which he does do, you know. But that made me define or understand from a young age what a friend was. Do you get it? It's not about money, or it's not about like the things what he be doing for man, or it's not that. It's a lot more than that. You know what I mean? If any way where I can lend my hand or help him out, I do so straight away, immediately. My bro called me up. Yo, what's up, bro? Oh, can you? I got a leak at the kitchen. Yeah, I'll come. I'll sort it out for you, man. And I'm never charging him because that's my friend. There's nothing to charge him about at all. So those are the things which I learned about having friends. So I don't call everyone my friend. Even up in my 30s, I don't call them my friends. Say it's someone I know or a person. Do you get it? Because all of this putting people into brackets, for me, when you put a name or on something here, there becomes a standard what I would like to keep things to. Just like anytime I've had a girlfriend, there's a standard which I like to keep that person to. At the end of the day, I'm gonna buy them stuff. If I work hard, of course I'm gonna buy them stuff. Most of my money is their money. That's how I am as a person, because I've realized that even not being that type of person, it's just not good in my eyes, just because of you share most things anyway. You know what I mean? That's how I look at things like that. So it's not been that case all the time, but as I've grown older, I've understood that, and it doesn't make mad sense by being super up and your girl is down. You just bring each other up. It just makes more sense. You know, you're not there with. I'm not never there for the person who, if she's got something or something. That's not the person I am. You know, but I get that we all differ from different things. It fluctuates at times. You have things which you desire and things you don't desire in your life, at certain points in your life. And as you get older, you see these things. And those are the things which I learned about relationships, I would say, which is being on the same level. I think that's very important. Now I value those things in a relationship now as I'm older. Back then, I valued loyalty back then. I still value loyalty now. Like being loyal is a lot, you know. It's not something that everybody can do. So that's something which I learned. But what I learned about my career is that it was always a really good choice, and I got into this career at a point when there wasn't a lot of people like me. So you stood out in some type of way. And I realized that there was a lot of people trying to test you for your intelligence, like what do you know? But I come from like good stock people. So I come from a Jamaican uncle who is a plumbing lecturer as well. And I have another uncle who is Bayesian descent, just like myself, who was a plumbing lecturer as well. Shout out, R.I.P. my uncle, Chris Toppins. Yeah, and I learned a lot of things by seeing my uncle Chris, my uncle Llewellyn, as like role models on how a man plumber is moving in his community. Do you get it? Like he's intact with people in the community, doing jobs within the community, but still being able to cut through and make a bit of money. I like that, because the sign of having freedom, yeah, as you get older, is a godsend. There's a lot of people that have managers, bosses, supervisors, people who are just onto them the minute they get through the door. And it doesn't work for all of us, yeah, because some of us are just not into people telling us what to do. It's not that you can't take orders from people. It's just that the way some people approach some situations, they're not for everybody, you know. And I found that through my 20s as well, working, which is if someone spoke to me in a way where I don't like it, listen, I'll make you find out. Like, I'm not the person for you to be talking to like that. If you're having a bad day, you need to keep it real professional, mister, because if you start getting on anything else, you're cooked. I will go to town with people just because me as a person, yeah, I'm not going to anywhere where people are just disrespecting me, you know, because I learned in my early 20s that people were respecting me anyway, just for the way I was moving and the way I was going on. I told you I was going on with things when I was outside. So people are respecting me. So when I get into the workplace, I don't command that respect. I be respectful towards people because I just wait for the chance for them to be rude to me. So I can say, what did you say? And my friend, Jerome, I used to work with Jerome in a hospital, yeah. Doesn't matter where it is, but we used to work together in a hospital. My good friend. He told me one time when I said to someone over the radio, because the way he was talking to me on the radio, I wasn't happy. So I did tell him, come outside, let me talk to you. And everybody knows what that means when someone says to you, come outside the workplace, let me talk to you. Because you must think I'm an idiot. And he was another black guy. So I just had to let him know, listen, don't do that with me. Don't do that with me. Because I'm not trying to be rude with you in any type of way. But you seem to be smalling me up because I'm younger than you. And I'm just asking you a question, just like everybody else will ask you a question. Me and you have no friction. There's no friction between you. I'm not treating you any better because you're older black guy than me. I'm just treating you the same as I see everyone else inside the workplace. But if you get out of pocket and you try and talk to me in some funny way, like you're trying to size up me, Mr. 6 foot, Mr. 6'3", you're not. Let's not do that, man. We don't need to. So I told him to come outside. Come outside. Who are you talking to? Don't talk to me like that. Don't ever talk to me like that inside the workplace. Don't ever get bright like that and talk to me like that, because this isn't a battle of who is the rude boy or who's from the road or who's this or that. This is, don't talk to me like that. I'm not here to speak to people like that. I don't talk to you like that. So I'd appreciate it if you didn't talk to me like that. And if you did ever again, hear that knock, you'll be finding out. Yeah? Might be finding out where you live, might be finding out a lot of things, but let's leave that there. Because that little thing there, yeah. People remember that. I remember Jerome said it to me the other day. I remember when he told my man to come outside. Yeah, Carl, I'm not a joker. Man, I have to understand that as much as people are getting along with life, yeah, you'll bring the old me back today. You don't want to do that, man. I don't even want to do that. I don't want to talk to you like that in that type of way. What for? You're a colleague. This is just work. I don't need you to feel like you're threatened by me in any type of way. That's not my approach. My approach is letting you know firmly, I'm not the one, son. I'm not the one, son. Yeah? And that was like a portion of me jumping back in to where I was back in the day. So I pulled myself a little bit away from that situation because I've told you before, there's times when you can't help the people who you're around at any point in your life and they rub off on you, but yeah, and you take your personality with you when you go to other places. But I do try and check that stuff at the door and leave it there and try and be the super polite person, because I know I'm the person to tell someone wagwan. Do you understand? I will tell them wagwan to their face. I have no problem with doing that. Done it to many people. Again, it's not necessary all the time, but when it's necessary, I will put it into full effect. And I've realized that isn't always helping me, right? It isn't always the best thing to do when you've got bills to pay, when you've got your car insurance coming out. Do you understand? So if these people are going to stop you from living life to your degree, think about it yourself and just move calculated about it. Like, as much as you want to spaz out on them, slap the chair on, no, you shouldn't slap the chair on them, but you want to do something mad, don't do it. Think about yourself, yeah, and think about if I do this in this situation, where will I end up? And that's what I think about now in my 30s, is if I do this, how does this affect my life or affect what I'm doing? And if it affects it in some type of way, like I can't go to little Rockers or something and get the blue tuna or the yellow tuna, what I like, cut up in the little slicey bits, I'm going to be annoyed. Why am I letting this person stopping that for me? At this age now, nah, man. Deal with them differently. You play chess around them. You make sure you make your moves and you keep it moving. Because even someone like myself, I've had many different managers and situations and people and stuff like that. And they've tried to micromanage my life from how they see me, which is weird because I didn't know he was doing that. This is just a day job. I don't take it that seriously now because I understand that nothing is permanent in my 30s. Like, see, when my parents say they have a job for life or they've been in a job for like, my mum's was in one job for, I think it was about 30 years. A long time. You'll never get stuff like that again because people don't stay at companies that long. And I know because I've made videos about these things. So I've done research on it and I've said to myself, wow, at one point, yeah, if you search for a new job every single year, yeah, you would have got a 5% or 7% increase. It's only this year, because I know, because I was going to do a video on it soon, there is only, like, companies are doing more of a 4 or 5% increase because they know the turnaround is so fast for people. So therefore they're giving people like nearly the amount of bonus what you would get if you moved. But again, I still have to see your ugly face. Sorry, I shouldn't say their face. So for me, sometimes I'll just be moving because putting up with people, you know, why? Why is the answer. But if you can do it, you can do it because I do it for my sanity at the end of the day. I know that some people wear down on me and the good energy which I'm trying to give off, I know it's being absorbed by these little people, which I don't want. And I would rather be in a better headspace to be able to provide the things what I wanted to do, like make good content, like being able to relate to more people and have more time to do this. Because I realized years in my earlier 20s, I realized I had a passion for social media. So being on it for so long allowed me to deep the game, understand where life was going, understand that, you know, like having social clout in your 30s, yeah, it makes you become very relevant. And not having so much social clout, even if you say you're not in it or you don't care about all that things, you do because you're talking. And it's a big part of life now, isn't it? However people like to perceive it, whether it's good or bad, or whether it's bring different things to people's lives. It was all going on in my early 20s. And in my early 20s, I had a conversation with one of my cousins. And my cousin is a graphics designer, so he worked with a lot of high-end companies. Shout out my big cousin. He made this logo, actually. So he was telling me one time that Joey Essex got paid 25,000, yeah, for a shoot what he done because they was part of the same company or the company who was running the shoot. I was like, no way, is he getting that type of money? Well, I don't know if he's getting that type of money. I didn't know anything like that before. And in my 20s, that just binged off in my head and said, you know what? Even if you didn't make it on the roadside, you can make it in this little content thing, you know? Because there's big checks being given out. There's enough to set yourself up so you can do other things. Do you get it? I'm not a person that doesn't know how to invest within myself or see a good idea and say, you know what, let's jump on that or let's put something behind that. And the content thing just made sense. It's only when I've got later on in my 30s, I've realized that most of my things which I go through are good content. It's good content to talk about. Like, it's good content to talk about when you was in your 20s, the things you kept up with and the things which you do now. They're two different things, right? But they had some type of relay when it comes to some of the skills what you picked up. So me going out so much, yeah, I learned how to negotiate when I would be going to nightclubs and all that. Because me, I'm not paying. Me and none of my boys are paying. So we're all getting in, but there might have to be the other man, he might have to get the first bottle for man because we just got in, and you buy the bottle first, and we'll just buy the next ones. But it works out. Do you get it? I might be learning a bit of hustling, or know a bit of hustling, do I say, from streets and all that type of vibe. But how I use that in my business is making sure that I ask people for what I want. Do you get it? I'm not overly demanding. Even brands that I work with, I don't ask them to send me loads of stuff. They might send me 3 emails until I email them back to say, like, oh, could I get this? And again, I don't ask for a lot of stuff because I even understand I've got self-awareness of myself at this age where I understand that I'm not the biggest. I'm not the most watched. I'm not the most this or that. So therefore, I have an understanding of where I am at. In my 20s, I definitely couldn't have had that because you always feel that you're larger than life. And I was larger than life at that time because I was doing madnesses. I mean, if I ever went on a podcast, James English or something, yeah, I could tell you the craziest stories, but I wouldn't never just implicate myself like that because I don't come from an era of people talking about themselves. Do you get it? So even for me doing this now, like for some people who know me, they'll be like, bro, I didn't even know you do that type of thing. Yeah, you didn't. But I feel that it's part of growth. And I think that like what I've learned is, and I said it to someone today, which was when you have money, yeah, a little bit of money, yeah, you're able to go to the gym, you're able to exercise, sauna, steam room, all of these things which are counted as luxuries now, yeah. But if you have a lot of money, you're able to go to a therapist, you're able to see a doctor, you're able to talk to someone about your problems. But when you have no money, yeah, you're below all of those things, where all of those things are super luxury and you have nobody to talk to. So I saw people going through struggles in my early 20s and realized that they didn't have a lot. They didn't have designer clothes that was buying the clothes. They weren't going shopping every single week. Bless up you as well. They weren't going shopping every week. But I was. I never took it for granted because I was outside hustling for the money. It was money what you got. So you do what you have to do with it. But I made memories from it. That's one thing I definitely do take, is that the memories which you make when you're in your 20s, they're unrepeatable. Everybody can think of a night when they went out, when they had a sick time. They probably didn't even have a lot of money. It wasn't about any of them things. It's just about having a good time. But at least you can say that you've had a good time there, and in your 30s, you're willing to make more memorable times, which are going to weddings, going to christenings, going on holiday, seeing people getting married on a beach and all these types of things, seeing different parts of the world with your lady friend. You understand? Those are the things which you look forward to then in your 30s, because it's what people do. It's the time, if you get what I mean. So you've grown up a bit, and that's what I had to do when I was trying to search for this, how I'm going to be in my 30s. Oh, you're from Florida? I'm just seeing someone in the chat said they're from Florida. Big yourself up. So, one sec. So within the time of me learning these lessons and understanding to myself that at this point now I've got to start planning for that part of life, because I used to date a woman, yeah, and she was a lot older than me. And this makes sense to me now, is when it was on her 30th birthday, she started crying, and I'm like, why are you crying for? And she goes, look, I ain't where I want to be in my 30s. I haven't got a child. I'm not married. I'm not this, I'm not that. But I said, you've, you got me. Isn't that enough? Like, and it wasn't. And I get it now, because in our heads, we all have a idea of where we want to be at a certain point. So if like someone asks you, where do you want to be in 5 years' time? Put it in the comment section below. When somebody asks me that at that age, I honestly had no answer for them, because I was still figuring it out. And I used to feel like, why can't I just get it right? I've tried, I work double hard, I have 2 jobs, I'll do all the things which everyone should be doing. But again, sometimes earlier days, money just burning a hole in my pocket. When I could see what was going out to what was coming in, I wasn't even looking like that, to be honest with you, because I was getting it. But that all slows down at a point, because you're not willing to do some of the things that you were willing to do then, but you still want to live the same lifestyle. So living the same lifestyle means that you got to spend extra money on drip, designer clothes, all of that. Trainers are like £600 today. I remember trainers, maybe expensive trainer back in the day when I was in my 20s might be about £300. Expensive trainer today, it's like 2 grand. Like, some of it you ain't doing it. And as I've got older, I've understood in my 30s that I don't always need all those things, right? So they're not a necessity for me to have in my life. There's something maybe I'd want, but I don't need it. It's not going to change much things in life by me having a £1,500 Moncler tracksuit. Not saying I have got one, but I have got one. It's not going to change anything. I only bought it now in my 30s because it was a reward for working hard. That's how I looked at it. But I've realized that there are some way more important things in my 30s which I value, right? And one of those things is traveling. Yeah. I traveled a lot in my 20s when I used to do judo for England. So I got to see a lot of Europe, a lot of other different places where I'd never go. I went to Azerbaijan. I bet none of you lot have been to Azerbaijan. And it was sick. Venice, Amsterdam, enough of them places all the time. Great experience. But it's different when you do things when you're in your 30s, when you're doing it with your partner. Yeah, when your girl tells you she wants you to go Eiffel Tower with her and take a picture. Do you get it? These types of things, even though you've done them with the lads, Stockholm or something like that with the lads, your bird wants to go there, some painting place or something. Or South America, good place to go. Very good place to go. I just feel as if like there are a whole things to open. Do that. You see even people just setting up shop and living there for a couple of years. I want to do a lot of those other things, but time is not always on my side. I'm honest with myself because I know what I can do and I can't do. Big up my bro, Mark. What's happening, bro? Brazil is one of those definitely places where I would love to visit, because the culture in Brazil, the things which I see online, it's amazing, man. But I think you got to make time to travel. You got to not put it off as you get into your 30s. Because when I've got into my 30s, all I've done is worried about bills, worried about shit, what's happening in life and all that. When really I should still be just enjoying it, enjoying and living in the moment. And that's what we forget at times, that you got to be grateful for being here is one thing. You got to be understanding that, you know what, life has so much more to give you, but you just got to allow yourself to be a little bit vulnerable and allow yourself to be open to different things, right? I say open because most of us or some people who become a little bit closed off within themselves struggle to be able to do different things. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've had opportunities of work in Saudi Arabia before. I had opportunities to work in Monaco last year, but I said no, and it's because I was thinking about my relationship, to be honest with you, which is not bad. I value my relationship more than going to work in Monaco. Yes, it would have been a nice experience, but do you know what? I have a good relationship. I don't want to break that bond, and I know how important it is to have a bond with your partner at this present time. Just showing you how much of a good man I am. Anyway, so there's so much opportunities out there for you at this age, and when you get to your 30s, because again, you've lived life a little bit now, innit? You're a little bit more responsible. So I would say now, me personally, yeah, in my 30s, I try even not even to be late for work. I don't even be late for work. I used to be the late guy, but I get all the work done. I know it wasn't the best exchange for me to be late every day and to get all the work done and be the good person there, because I'm not turning up on time. Again, I think that was a bit of an ego thing when it comes to myself, like saying, "Oh, I don't need to turn up there on time. I don't need to do this." I do. I need to do all the same things that everybody else is doing, because it isn't a favoritism thing when it comes to things like that. It's who does the same amount as everybody else. And I think it's only when I got in my late 30s or mid 30s, I started to realize that, because, you know, you work with people and you realize some people just turn up and do the bare minimum, but then they go straight home because they've clocked on to, this is not what I'm invested in right here. I'm invested in this, but I have to do this. So I do this with no passion, no like no motion. I just get on with it. And it's kind of allowed me to say I can respect people that do that, because with life we've got a lot more things going on than just the surface or just what we want to tell that person who you work with. Like, I like to be able to talk with people who I work with, because I get to understand about them. And that's probably the best thing about work, which I've realized for myself, is the relationships that you build. It's like me having an active gym hobby, which is me going to the gym, helps me meet other people. And if you're telling me you're in your 30s right now and you're telling me you make friends all the time, that's cap. You're chatting shit. That's a lie. You don't. I've met probably about 20 new friends at the gym. Younger than me, some a little bit older than me, but just people who you would probably go out for a drink or a meal with, someone who you would give your number to and say, yeah, give me a shout when you're going to the gym. I'll train with you today or whatever. And it just allows you to know that past your 28s or past your 20s, yeah, you can still make friends with people. And that's the things what work will show you, going to the gym and having a social life will show you, is that those things matter in life, because we all need people. We need them to lift us up. We need them to be able to confide in. Like, Jerome's one of my friends from my 20s, yeah? Late 20s. I was going through a little something, because everybody does. I'm going like, you don't. You do. I was speaking to him about it, and he said to me, the words what I remember him saying and speaking and echoing is, I know you as someone who's better than that. I know you as someone who is better than that. So don't let this situation get you down or get to you, because I know you as someone who is better than that. So you don't rise to it, you'll rise above it, and you can see what other people can't see. And that's when I knew, John's my dog. That's my guy. I knew that before, but I mean, him just confirming it and saying the things which I needed to hear at the time, and not be any type of gaslighting friend, I realized that I've got another friend for life now. You understand? Because when you're in some hard times or in some difficult situations, that's when you're going to find out who your friends are. You're going to find out that your job doesn't value as much as you do, even though you've done 10 years experience or 10 years at the job, sorry. They don't value as much as you think you do because they don't console you with everything. You don't run the place, they run the place. You realize that in your 30s. And that will just let you have a relapse to yourself and say, do you know what? What is it that I care about? What is on my top of my priority thing? Whether it's family, your loved ones, your relationship. They're the things which you start valuing very high. See all the guy now drinking. Don't get me wrong, everyone loves a little liquor. If you ain't drinking Don Julio, be quiet. We're not on the same level. Or Casamigos. I know you know. What I'm saying is just that we make time for things which we need to be doing in our 30s as a priority. And instead of making time for the things what we would want to do as a necessity. And this is the things which I've really understood, you know, like when I used to watch things like Grand Design, yeah, it's a perfect example. When I used to watch things like Grand Design, I used to say to myself, wow, these people got a sick house to live in. They're going to be lit. They're going to enjoy themselves. They got this exterior built. They got this, they got that, got a living quarter, got this, got that. But now they've got to make their house a home. And that takes years. You got to give it that home feel. And I thought to myself, in my early 20s, I said, if I'm going to do anything, I want to do something like that. But me being honest with myself now, I might not be able to financially do that. I want to say that on this video and I want to regret it because I want to tell you in 5 years' time, I'm on Grand Design. But let me say I want to regret it again one more time so I can use it as a clip for in 5 years' time. I now can be honest with myself and say that I might not be the person to reach that show in 5 years' time because it might not be running. Yeah, that's the truth. But hopefully I do be able to make a project from start to finish and make it into a home, because that's an idea which I've had in my early 20s, which I wanted to do. And me being in the building trade and being a plumber for so long, I picked up a lot of skills, but also made a lot of connections with people. And I'm quite sure I can make it happen. So by me saying to myself, I won't get on Grand Design, am I lining myself out and saying, no, it's not for me anymore? No, I'm thinking about more now. I could buy land somewhere else where it's a lot cheaper and start to build a house then, because it's still the same thing, but it might not be on this show or in this country. That would still make me content with life, but I would still be content with just owning a property or a couple of properties, might I say. So I'm fine with that, but I know that now in my 30s that I've got to do some work, because the work what you put in now, it's like fashion. It will just repeat itself and pay for itself during time. And I've realized that in my 30s, because I couldn't see that in my 20s, because a lot of things were like, why am I doing this? Do you get it? Like, I wish I worked a lot more harder, but I guess I didn't have the patience to be working hard, or thought to myself, why am I working Saturdays for? Why am I working Saturdays and Sundays? But now I get why you need to work Saturdays and Sundays, because you need to have that little edge more. And you only learn those things as obviously time gets on and your bills get a little bit more. You might get accustomed to certain things in life. I'm accustomed to certain things and I wouldn't really want them to change. I just want them to be able to be affordable. Do you get it? Affordable with less stress. That's how I look at those things. I look at those problems as logical things on how I can solve them. That's how I think when I come to things like that. Everybody doesn't think like that. They see problems as problems, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But I want to say to people that the things which I've learned in my 30s, yeah, I mean, I picked them up really early in my 20s. Like I tell you, been making money from school, early doors. I think I made my first £1,000 when I was in school selling contact lenses. I've never told anyone this story. Yeah, I was on hustling from then. So like having a plumbing business and being able to do jobs at prices whatever I want, that's me just recreating the little hustle flex for me and myself. Man, I shatter, little bag of money. People pay me cash. Don't say that to anybody. But yeah, it's just something which I wanted to keep going because I realized, you know, having a bit of money around yourself at times is always necessary at this age as well, because things do come up, man. They do say save for a rainy day. And I wish I did start saving a little bit more earlier, but what can you do? You can only start when you're ready to start. And if this video makes you start saving and start maybe taking your life a little bit more seriously in your 30s or even in your 20s, just drop it a little thumbs up or drop a little comment, because I've told you a lot about my life to let you know that even if your life wasn't going well or you didn't do certain things, there's enough time to turn things around. I've turned things around 360 so many times, I should have got a 360 deal. That's how many times I've turned things around, from super bad to this, to that. No one can predict your future. You should know that. Like, not even you could predict it. You got to just try and path yourself out in places which are going to be beneficial for you later. Like, I'm really thankful that I was able to get my apprenticeship and learn the skills which I learn now, because again, they pay my bills, man. I can't tell you that I don't live a decent life for being a plumber. Of course I do. But if I work a little bit harder, I can definitely have some of the things which I desired maybe in my 20s. But I've been a person, when I got to my 30s, I said, I'm not just gonna just do everything for money. But I have a little bit of regrets for that, but nothing too severe, if you get what I mean. I think you've got to live with some of the things that you regret. If you turn down money, if you turn down opportunities, it's something you've got to live with, whether it felt right to do or if it didn't feel right to do. But I feel like now I have a lot more sense of judgment when it comes to opportunities, whether they're bad or whether they're good, or whether they're going to be beneficial for me. And I think it's because of taking time and not rushing it. Like, when you rush a decision, like when you ain't got a job, yeah, and you're looking for a job, you're going to accept anything what you have because money is money, right? But when you have a job and you're looking for another job, you now have got a lot of leverage. And I never checked it like that before, when I was in my early 20s. But now as I get older, I've always checked it like that. I always check it off of the experience what I've had. I've had really good experience and worked at very much established places. So again, anywhere lower who's trying to pay me any lower than that, I'm not doing it, because I'm working backwards now on my CV, not forward, which we always want to do. But again, you have to do what you got to do for yourself in these circumstances. Don't let a situation hold you back or even doubt, because when I started to realize that a lot of us just fear the fact of becoming a failure. And that's what can happen from your 20s to your 30s. You can fear that. And when I mean fear it, I mean, look at things from other young people's perspective. There are young people in their 20s that are making millions. And there are people in their 20s that haven't even made 10K. They haven't even got a driving license. And again, socially, they see all these people. They see what they want, but they're not getting it. So sometimes some of us who are in our 30s and stuff, you need to give these people a break. We've all been there, man. Someone's always had a fuck up friend, a friend that just there's always just does shit. But then we just might need a helping hand. I get it. People say, how many chances can you give someone? You can give someone as many chances as you physically can. You don't have to give up on them. You know, like the people that never gave up on me, yeah? the most thankful for. More than the people who used to know before when you used to run the street. Do you understand? Because someone giving you an opportunity and you making something of it is like, that's all they want to see. All they want to see is that you got those skills and now you're transferring them into your life and you're using them to better yourself. Like, becoming a better person is something that I said for years. I just said, I used to tell people, I'm just working on myself. I'm just working on trying to be a better person, a better version of myself. And people didn't really get that until they understood that, you know what, you're having a transition. You're now seeing things from other people's perspective, which is life isn't always just about you, me. It isn't. It's about a lot of other things. You know, there's some things that I've seen in my 20s, which I always wanted to emulate. I always wanted to be able to afford to send my parents on holiday. I think that's a big flex, personally. That is such a good move to do. You give your mum a card, your mum cries, oh my God, the card's been so much upset. But you're a good youth. No, you're a good youth. My mum isn't even Jamaican, but I just love doing the accent. I don't care. Yeah, and these are things which are like personal things to myself, which I feel that I will always fulfill. Because sometimes when you say things, you speak them into fruition. Just like in my late 30s, I've got into more affirmations. I used to do affirmations in the morning. I advise most of you lot to do it, because sometimes when you talk and you say things and you hear them over and over again, you can now be ready for them. We can tell ourselves that we're sick and we could get sick. That's how your body works. Do you get it? So like, if you tell yourself that you're going to be successful, if you tell yourself that you're going to work hard, if you tell you all of these things, what these little videos show you. And I had a period of time when I was going through it and I was just watching them religiously. Were they bringing me up? Hell yeah, they was bringing me up. Was I sharing it with people? No, because it wasn't a time of talking. There's some times in your life when, in certain parts of your life, you've done enough talking. Now you need to do some doing. Only thing is going to be necessary is for you to do. When you do, you will see results. I'd done the time waiting and thinking that people were going to bring me. I got a brethren that's like this. Oh, you must bring me. He's mashing the money. Not going to bring you. All that stuff is over. For you lot. And for me as well. So now my focus is on other things. But I still feel passionate in the way I do in that type of life. But I can only say that your 30s is such a precious time, you know. Like, use it wisely. Even if you soak in information from others, I've always been one to be around wisdom people, wisdom men who speak things like, I got a good friend who's a Rasta man, shout out Bingy. And I be around Rasta people because they'll be showing me certain things what I've just never heard before. Do you understand? And for me, it's like, wow, didn't know that, man. And I feel like I know a lot when it comes to like life or just understanding things or reading situations. And he's showed me like a lot of things, man, you know. So look for someone who is a role model, man. And ask them questions, man. That's one thing I would say. Like, my uncle is one of my big role models. I got off the phone to him just before I done this live. And I told him what I told you lot earlier about, you know, the stress thing and people being rich and being poor. My uncle always listens to me like his son and tells people that's like my number 2 son. He's someone that I admire, respect, showed me a lot of things, always treated me fair and told me the truth. Even if I was moving out of order, he told me, I'm not happy with you, Jason, blah, blah, blah. And that's like my dad telling me off, if you get what I mean. Same like if my dad said that to me, there's a level of like, oh, I've upset my dad, who's someone who I look up to, you know. And last of all, before we touch off, I just want to say, even though if you're out there on the street doing your thing, you're in your early 20s, living your life, vida loca vibe, make time for your family, man. Yeah? Because there's times when I know I should have made more time for my family to be there, because if you got a loving, caring family, yeah, there ain't no one that's going to support you like them in life, anytime. Partner's not going to be the same like your family. Your blood family is different. The way they love you, like cook food, love you for your badness, love you for your little mat, love you for sending you down the road, go and get them patties and all of them things there. That's what you've got to keep alive. Spend time with your parents, take them out, do nice things for them. Like, I've always believed in doing good things for my parents, because I see what they do for their parents. You know what I mean? Even as a big man, I used to see my dad always go to my nan's house, do cleaning every week. I said, rah. Yeah, man. And my dad's 60, like, doing that. So I see it. It's not something we need to talk a lot about. I see it and I understand. So you have to understand when you get good teachings from people, and maybe they don't say direct words to you, because the actions speak for themselves. And yeah, big up my Rasta friend as well, Bingy. Yeah, and I've just learned so much, man. Do not pause yourself off from learning from people. Sometimes even foolish people can teach you something about yourself. Someone who you don't rate can teach you something. But just learn those lessons from people, man. Get yourself someone of wisdom. Learn to have respect for yourself, because you might not have respect for yourself in your early 20s, but learn to have respect for yourself in your 30s. Respect who you are, understand who you are. Don't shy away from it, because it's probably one of the best features what you've got. Trust me. And the best features what I got for myself is me being me. And that's why I end this video, because most of you don't want to be yourself. You've heard me speak about my 20s and my life, and I hope it's been a good listen for you guys, because I think when I make videos like this, yeah, I really do try and dig deep and try and think about where I was at that age and the things what I went through. And, you know, like, if people would try and talk me out of something or talk me into something, remember, you have your own mind. This all up here is super powerful, but it can be used in the wrong way and the right way. How you choose to use your brain is up to you. Read some books, learn about things, listen to other people. Don't always be a talker before other people jump in. Allow the conversation to flow. A pause is always good, because just firing at questions doesn't always make sense. And a fool does not ask questions. A man who wants to, or a woman who wants to know, asks his questions. There's no question which is dumb. And if anybody's telling you to cut that out, they're not the people for you. Let's move on kindly. But what I would like you to do now is subscribe and drop a like and drop a comment as well, because I appreciate all of you lot who have came into the chat and spoke. Lion voice. Big up everyone in the chat, man. Big you lot up, man. I think me coming on and telling these life stories and stuff like that, it means a lot to me when I see people come in there and drop a little comment. Big yourself up every single time. I'm out. Like and subscribe, people. Next one.